Is State Senator Sharon Hewitt from Slidell. Hey, Miss Sharon, welcome to Keel. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Robert. Doing great, thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. You know, I saw and I read about this last couple of days, and I looked at your website last night with your idea. And pardon me for glomming on here, but I said, wow, great minds think alike, because I've been saying for about, maybe almost a month, does America need a one-size-fits-all stay-at-home idea, in the sense that, and then you can take it from there with your idea. All along, I've said, why are we treating Tensaw Parish and Jefferson or Orleans Parish exactly the same, right?
I could not agree with you more, Robert. Great minds do think alike. So I started this petition just yesterday. As you mentioned, it's openlanow.com, because I believe that the people deserve a voice in this process of how to best reopen our communities. I live in Slidell, in the southeastern part of the state, and every day I hear from small business owners, as I'm sure you all do in your area, who have shuttered their doors, and neighbors who've lost their jobs. You know, we have about 20% of the eligible workforce now in the state of Louisiana is out of work. And the president's Opening Up America Again guidelines gives governors the discretion to apply these guidelines on a regional or a parish-wide basis. So rather than a one-size-fits-all solution, I agree with you, and I'm encouraging the governor to let local leaders and business owners make the decisions as to how to best implement these guidelines.
Is your idea, is your website, is your petition, is it based on anything concrete, or is it a concern of yours that the governor may tend to open up Louisiana a little more slowly than, say, Texas or Oklahoma, Arkansas, some of our neighbors?
Well, I think that these decisions definitely have to be data-driven, and we're collecting data right now on a parish-by-parish basis. So as you mentioned earlier, Jefferson or Orleans are hot spots right now, but they're getting better. You know, we have 33 parishes, many of them in your area, that have less than 100 cases total since this thing started, and single-digit deaths. And I don't think our reopening strategies should be the same. For example, you have maybe 1,300 cases in Caddo and 21 cases in Red River, and we're looking at 6,000 cases in Orleans. And as you mentioned, for those communities that are on the border, you're also having to compete with businesses across the state line in Texas and in Arkansas that might be open for business or might have a different reopening strategy. And so that's why I think local input is the very best way to go, because you know you'll have the data, you know your businesses, and I think local leaders are in the best position to make those decisions.
We've already heard Senator Hewitt from the mayor of New Orleans, who's put the May 15th date on. Who wins that TT contest? If she says not till May 15th in my city, the governor says, no, May 1st, we're going to do it. I mean, when we get before a judge, who's going to win?
Or even the parish president in that case.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the way I understand the president's guidelines, I think locals can have more restrictive guidelines if they choose. They're not supposed to have less restrictive guidelines. So if the mayor of New Orleans, believes that she needs more restrictive guidelines, then I think from a technical standpoint, I think she's able to do that. But look, the president has laid it out. This is not rocket science. We all know the drill now. We know that the idea is to continue to protect those that are most vulnerable, the older citizens and those with underlying health conditions. You self-isolate those people that have mild symptoms. You start opening up businesses and workplaces and encourage them to limit large gatherings and utilize social distancing within their workplace. But I believe that the local leaders and the local businesses are in the best position to make those decisions about exactly how to do it.
Let me ask you this, because I'm not certain on the governor's reasoning, but it could be this, so I'm going to be the devil's adversary or whatever you want to call it.
Old joke, sorry.
Bossier opens up, everything's good to go. Everything's open. Come on down to Bossier, everything's open. Caddo says, not yet. That you might hurt Caddo Parish, if we don't just kind of unilaterally do it, you might put some parishes and communities at an economic disadvantage even worse than they've already been.
Well, I don't think you can, penalize some at the expense of others. Why hold back? And it's the same strategy with President Trump. When you look at that map of the United States, you see this big swath down the central part of the country that's had very little impact from the COVID virus. So he didn't take a one-size-fits-all approach. He said, let's let the states look at it because their situations are all dramatically different. Look at the state of New York. I would argue with you that if you look at this color-coded map of Louisiana that we see in the newspaper every day, the predominance of the cases are in southeast Louisiana. And what you all have up in north Louisiana are some areas there, generally around the urban areas, so Shreveport, Bossier, Monroe, Alexandria. Mm-hmm. But virtually the rest of the state is saying, what are we talking about? Let's go back to work. And we understand that we're not going to flip a switch and go back to things as usual. Again, keep the vulnerable population at home. Everybody go back to work. Strap on your mask. Keep your 6 feet distance, and use some common sense. But we don't. Like I read in the newspaper this morning in Mississippi, this is how ridiculous it's gotten. They were in a lawsuit in Mississippi about these drive-through churches. They had ruled that you couldn't have the drive-through churches where people were actually in their cars listening to the church service, and the church took them to court. Well, the state now has said, okay, you can operate a drive-through church like a drive-through restaurant as long as you roll your window down and roll it back up. Well, come on, do we really need the government telling us when to roll our windows up and down?
Yeah.
I think it's gotten a little out of hand.
Well, I'm going to Texas today. I know I'm going to get pulled off the freeway and checked, so just FYI. It's happening all over the country, that's for sure.
Well, it is, and I think it's, in some cases, it's gotten a little bit ridiculous, and we've learned a lot, and I think everybody in the neighborhood or in the streets, we know what the drill is. We know that we know the vulnerable population is most at risk. I do believe the rest of us need to start going back to work. We're knocking on the door of economic crisis at the level of the Great Depression. And I think we're only beginning to talk about and understand the ramifications through the supply chain of how difficult this is going to be to restart the economy. You're not going to just flip a switch. And there are going to be businesses that can't fully reopen because they can't get the supplies they need because those people don't have the employees they need to provide them. Mm. And so it's really, we need to get started, and we need to be talking about not just lives, but livelihoods.
Gotcha. Senator Sharon Hewitt, Slidell, thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Great stuff, ma'am. Thank you as always, and continued good luck and good fortune. And stay healthy, of course.
Thank you. Enjoyed being with you.